I think that was maybe January of 2014, I'm pretty sure. And that same May, I got invited to perform as a guest artist in iTech in Bloomington, Indiana. And I went there with one of my best friends from the studio. He happened to be an American gentleman, also a great euphonium player. Just won a job in one of the military bands. I'm not sure which one, but we were the two rivals there at the last, friends and rivals at the same time. And in October, I flew to Pittsburgh to play a full concert series as a guest soloist, and I played Philip Sparks' Harlequin, and one of the movements from Andy Scott Concerto, very flashy, impressive stuff. And at that point, when I went there, I already kind of not there was plenty of room, and I like your ability to improve never ends. And whenever you think you learn everything, you're probably on it's time to stop, I guess. But I was at that point where I thought, okay, my plan was to become really, really good. I kind of got there. I'm winning these competitions. I'm not making any money, not sure how to find a job, not sure how to make a career out of it. So all I had is this vlog. Now it had a very nice storyline because I did the pre-competition vlog where I said I'm going to enter this competition, and then I entered that competition. I was allowed to take footage, and I won that competition, and I got this trip to United States. So I was starting to get some people watching. And I remember I was sitting at the dinner table after one of the concerts, and James Gourlay, who's the artistic director of the River City Brass, asked me, "What's the plan?" And I said, well, the plan is to probably do masters in something else than music, because it doesn't seem like this is working out very well. And he told me, how about you come to United States, do your masters here. We'll figure something out for you here. So he introduced me to one of the euphonium players at the time, who was Lance LeDuc. He's the professor at the Carnegie Mellon and a former professor at Duquesne University. And I was very, very ignorant to the American brass scene. So I did not know who he was. I did not know that he was the youngest person to ever win the Air Force euphonium position at maybe like 21 years old or something like that. Fantastic player. And he showed me around the campus. And the Carnegie Mellon campus was nothing that I've ever seen before. It's like a small little town, and it's not even the biggest big campus by American standards, but to me it was like unseen. So I turned down the master's offer from the Royal Northern College of Music. I know Steve was a little bit upset about that at that time, but I was pretty excited to move to United States. So I took a gap year because it took me a year to sort out my student visa. In 2015, I moved to United States. They gave me a big scholarship, and I started playing and became a student at the Carnegie Mellon. And one of the first things that Lance told me, so what do you want to do? And I was a little bit cautious with my previous experience. Each time I would tell an idea, hey, Mom, I would like to play euphonium for a career. Bad idea. Hey, Mr. Teacher, I'd like to do vlog. Bad idea. Every idea that I would pitch to everyone was bad idea. So I stopped pitching ideas. So in the beginning, I was a little careful. So I just said, yeah, just get better at playing, just become a soloist, a traveling soloist. And he said, is that all you want to do? Are those the only things? Do you have any other ideas? And I was telling him, well, and he remembered that I was setting up the camera in the concerts with River City. So I said, well, I'm thinking maybe I should invest more time in social media. I might be crazy, but I don't think anyone is doing that. And I think there's a market for that. It's not big, but it's very, very open, because literally nobody's doing any vlogs. Every other area of industries, multiple industries, so whether it's music in other fields, pop and so on, sports, everyone has their vloggers, their artists who do social media. No, for euphonium. And I started composing. I got very good at playing classical music, and I fell in love with classical music. But my background was rock music, electronic music, and at the time when I moved to Carnegie Mellon, I already started composing some rock tunes with a euphonium solo line. I also told him, well, I also have this crazy idea of maybe doing like a rock euphonium CD. And for first time, he, for some reason, and I don't know whether he saw something or he was just a nice guy, he thought that was like the greatest idea ever. So from that point, he helped me to adjust my credits to where I could take recording, do my projects, and play River City as part of credits. Carnegie Mellon had an unbelievably open facilities to doing media recording that nobody used. And I found that so if you would go to the library, they would have these top of the line cameras, top of the line microphones that nobody even knew that they're available for lending. And everyone kept it under hush hush because nobody wanted it's a lot of work. You have to fill out paperwork. You need to, so that the staff did not particularly advertise that loudly. So I found that, and what I started doing is, because the place was open 24/7, I started going through every single building, room to room, and starting to figure out what facilities they have. I found this recording studio that is, because they had this big recording professional studio called Lahakis, and you could only get there if you pay for hourly rate, if you get booked, or you're a student at a specific recording class. But there was like another smaller recording studio in the third floor that was open for booking. Like as a student, you could just book it, and it had best computers, all the software. It had isolation booth. Nobody ever heard of it. Not a single person heard of it, but it was right there. You just swipe your card, enter. I found a T-shirt printing facilities there. Again, nobody knew. And again, you could use as a student. You don't need to be a specific major. So I started pretty much almost like living. Sometimes I would spend like 50, 60 hours at that place before going back home, because they had gym, showers, everything. In the library, you could just crash for like a couple hours. So I started spending enormous amount of time trying to figure out the equipment, the software. I started really investing time in those videos. The frequency started coming up. So Lance did me a big favor by allowing me. One of the biggest things, he helped me with playing. He gave me good advice, but one of the biggest things he allowed me to do is he got out of the way and allowed me to just basically do what I wanted. As long as our agreement was, hey, make sure you work hard. You need to get better at this. I want to see some results, but I'll let you take that route if you want to. So they had this internet learning platform that, again, I discovered by browsing through their website, that was free to log in for anyone who had a CMU email. And they had these online courses on video recording and audio recording. And I knew what I wanted to do. I had the vision of the compositions and the sound that I wanted. I had no clue what I'm looking at, like what microphones, what do these terms mean. So I would spend anywhere between an hour and 2 hours first thing in the morning. I would wake up, I would put on my phone, and I would just listen. And it's hard to stay concentrated, but each time somebody would, if it was audio related, somebody would use a term, compression, and then I would hear that it does something to the drums that I was looking for. I would write that term down, and later on I would dig in to figure out what is compression, what does that mean, how does it work. Same thing with video cameras. What is aperture? What is shutter speed? Like, nothing made sense. There were so many terms in the beginning. I would just write, if I saw something that I could potentially use in my own videos to make the quality better, I would just write it down, and then later on I would break it down, try to figure out what that is. And I did that for around 2 years. And by the time I was in my second year, my recording knowledge, particularly when it came to euphonium and so on, I found that it was better than pretty much any student you could find at who does recording as their major. So I started building a home studio, and this is one of those. We moved out, so it's slightly different, and started gathering equipment and started investing more and more time in my social media. I started noticing that it was starting to bring some money in, which was very nice. It was very encouraging. I bought more equipment with that money. I started with a lot of educational content and gradually moved on to more of a performance-based content. And I did that on weekly or every couple weeks, and it wasn't the main source of the income, but it was pretty substantial.